So happy
Awesome.
birthday to Q, right? Should
Yeah.
we sing happy birthday to Q? 40 years.
40
right?
years. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. So a shout out to Jasmine. Where's Jasmine? Hey, Jasmine.
Yeah.
Awesome. She
Yeah.
got the crowd started,
Yeah.
pushing us through. And Jeremiah. Where's Jeremiah?
Jeremiah.
Awesome job.
Yeah.
And I think we are definitely kindred spirits, because what we're going to be talking about is what you're talking about. And it's about resilience and about being yourself and being creative. And we need all voices shouting on the rooftops about the mission. So we're going to be sharing about the mission today and calling all creative. So a little housekeeping. Please take note during our presentation, the use of all cell phones to take photos, to tweet, to post is strictly encouraged. You're also invited to doodle, to daydream, take short naps, to connect the dots with the kindred spirits around you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Which is kind of how I got through school. By the way, Paul's the good twin. I'm just putting it out there. I was the kid in class that was doodling and daydreaming, and but I found it fascinating when it was fascinating, and when it wasn't, I had other things to do. So I'm going to share some of those stories with my brother. Happy birthday,
right.
Paul!
Oh, happy birthday, Peter! Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Big brother. 14 minutes.
Yeah. And we actually call our birthday Twin Day. And we usually go off-grid for the entire day. Everybody at the studio knows we are in an undisclosed location. Nobody bothers us. We actually have 2 days that we celebrate Twin Day, because it's Twin Day. And we rarely do anything on our birthday or Twin Day. But when we heard that it was Q's 40th birthday, we said, okay, we're there. So, yeah. That is a picture of me and Peter in Toronto, Canada. We were born in Toronto.
Toronto, yes. Awesome. Canadians in the house.
Yay. Awesome.
Yeah.
My mother's birthday, it turns out your mother's birthday as well,
Yeah.
is March 15th. And she got the news, she went in for her 8-month checkup, and they said, you're very large, Mrs. Reynolds, for 8 months. You're not due until next month. Let's do some tests. They called her home that night in the middle of her birthday party, and they said, next month, you're not having one baby. You're having 2 babies. And she thought that was pretty funny, so she laughed and laughed and laughed. Of course, she went into labor.
Yeah.
And we were born. So very, very cool. Lots of birthday energy here. And let's see. Oh, yeah, we're going to do...
Okay, quick poll here. Any twins in the audience? Do we have any twins? We got twins.
Twin.
Oh.
Twins.
This is a high-density twin crowd here.
Twins over here, yeah.
A lot of twins. Raise your hand if you're not a twin. All right. Okay. Well, we feel badly for you being born alone, but we always say, right, that we highly recommend being a twin. And if you do not have a twin, find your twin.
Yeah.
Or your twin-ish.
Yeah. And it turns out that actually is really a big part of what we've learned, that being creative actually does require a lot of courage and bravery, and to find your twin or your twin-ish actually is a real help on the journey. Somebody who totally has your back all the time, lets you dream the crazy dreams and lets you dream the crazy dreams, pull you back if you need pulling back. And Peter has been, 5 kids in the family, but Pete is definitely my kindred spirit and mentor and muse. So we do encourage you to find, that person in your practice that you can share with. And it turns out we just kept doing it. We started our first newspaper when we were in 2nd grade. I was writing, Pete was illustrating. My dad would go to the Savin office copier in the corporate office park and would make us copies. And we're so excited. So it was the act of creation, but it was also the act of publishing and sharing, and that just stayed with us. You might know that Peter does the Judy Moody books. Anybody familiar with the Judy Moody books? Right?
If you were 3rd grade girl, or boy, you would be jumping up and down right now.
Yeah.
But they're great books. I've read them all.
Yeah. So, and the other series of books are the Okay. Peter, I think we have some.
Yes.
We have some Dot fans.
So
on
yeah,
this.
the Kree Trilogy is a 3-book set that I started 15 years ago. It's the Dot, Ish, and Sky Color, and they are all 3 components of creating bravely. And we may share one of them in a few minutes.
Yes. In fact, pretty soon. Like
Pretty
very, very
soon?
Right.
Okay.
So the theme of all of the books are definitely about creativity, but equal parts are the courage to create. Turns out making your mark is a really scary thing, and it seems that the older you get, the more scared you become. Kids are fearless, but...
Next.
Oh, next? Oh, and I
Yeah.
was going to show my T-shirt,
Yeah.
which is my Create Bravely. I liked it so much, I asked Pete to make the T-shirt.
Yeah. So we kind of like to get to know our audience, and so we'll just do a quick scan so we know who we're talking to. How many people here are artists? Do we have any artists?
Oh,
We have-
good.
We have some artists. Ooh, I'm
Ish.
hearing ish. That's
good.
good. Actually, this is a very high percentage.
Good.
That's at least about 47%.
I think it was,
Yeah.
I got 48%.
You
but
got
we'll
48?
Split the difference.
Yeah.
That's actually
And
very high.
So it's great that you raised your hand, and the people who said artist-ish, you're definitely on the right track.
Yeah.
For those who did not raise your hand, and I'm not going to single you out, but that you are really what drives our mission. Because the fact that you did not raise your hand is due to the fact that somewhere along the journey, someone told you, and it might have been yourself, that you are not an artist. And you decide to pack up those beautiful creative wings. When we go into classrooms, we ask kindergarten kids, who here is an artist? Of course, all the hands go up. First grade, all the hands go up. Second grade, most of the hands go up. Third grade, half the hands go up. And depending on the school and the school culture, in 4th, 5th grade, they'll point to the class artist. And they'll say, oh, Paul, Paul's an awesome artist. And I think, that's really, really sad. It only took about 600 days for most of those kids to pack up those amazing creative wings and tuck them behind themselves. And I say tuck behind because something cool happens many decades later when people retire. They usually will take an art course,
Right.
Buy themselves some paints and a sketchbook. And our mission is to make sure that kids never put that pencil down. They don't put the paintbrush down, that they keep going and that they never stop. So that 50 years from now when we ask the same question and we say, how many artists do we have? All hands will go up, just like kindergarten. So that's the cornerstone of the work that we do at FableVision and what I'm doing through my books, and now Paul is doing in his
Right.
books, because we're now collaborating together.
Yep.
So thank you.
I think we'll just go on to the next, right? So we're going to,
Yeah.
I think we're going to just do a quick story time. Anybody in to a quick story time? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
All right. What's cool is, number one, it's cool to be back at Q. My first Q was 1989, and a lot has happened since then. And I was with Tom Snyder Productions back then. If you remember Tom Snyder, amazing classroom teacher.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots has happened. This is a little story that I wrote 15 years ago.
That's right. This year is the 15th anniversary. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to just...
And I was just going to say that it was great. We had book signings, and it's so fun to be at a technology conference and have educators hugging their books. And
Yeah.
we also got hugged a lot, too. This is a very huggy crowd, which we like.
endorse.
Yes,
Yes.
we're huggers, too. So we're going to have a little story time. The Dot by me.
Yeah.
Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm. Very funny, said Vashti. I just can't draw. Her teacher smiled. Just make a mark. See where it takes you. Vashti grabbed the marker and she gave the paper a good, strong jab. There. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, now, sign it. Vashti thought for a moment, well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name. The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn. Her dot, all framed in swirly gold. I could make a better dot than that. She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted. A yellow dot, a green dot, a red dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow. She discovered that she could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting lots of little dots in many colors. If I could make little dots, I could make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make even bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. That is called thinking outside of the dot. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. You're a really great artist. I wish I could draw. I bet you can, said Vashti. Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. Show me. The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, please, sign it. And that is dedicated to Mr. Matson, my 7th grade math teacher who dared me to make my mark. Thank you. Thank you. It's always nice to be able to give a shout out to the teachers who changed your life. And I'm sure right now, if I ask you, close your eyes and picture that teacher who was the one, right? You might have been lucky and have a few. But Mr. Matson was one of those teachers, unlike many actually of my teachers in elementary school. Most teachers were saying, all eyes up front, you can do that after class, on your own time, Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Matson noticed that I liked to draw and had a wild imagination. He challenged me. He said, Peter, how would you like to teach math using your art and your storytelling and your imagination? And so I went home and I created a comic book to teach math, brought it into Mr. Matson, who looked at it very quietly, and he said, Peter, do you know what you've done? I made a comic book? Well, it is a comic book, but it's also called a storyboard. It's what a filmmaker uses to plan out a film. How would you like to make an animated film of your story? And I'm like, yes. And he said, I don't know how to make one. Which was actually a really cool moment in my journey because I met an adult who asked me to teach and an adult who said, I don't know everything, but we're going to learn together. And so he found the media teacher from the high school, and the three of us, worked together to create an animated film. So at age 12, I made my very first animated film to teach. Well, that's what I do today, what Paul and I do together at our company, FableVision, in Boston. And it's all thanks to a teacher who went off script. And he did something really the most powerful thing that an educator or a caregiver or a parent can do, he noticed me. And he took the time to connect the dots. His mission was to teach math. He understood, he could actually see my mission before I even could see it. Kind of like Vashti's teacher could see her as an artist before she could. So a big thank you to all educators out there who are doing the same thing, who changing lives, and in fact, probably you don't know that you're doing it. Because I called up Mr. Mattson many years later and I said, hey, Mr. Mattson, this is Pete Reynolds. I don't know if you remember me. He's like, oh yeah, we made that film together. I said, wow, you remember? And he said, yeah. I said, well, I just wanted to say thank you. You changed my life. And he said, I'm sure I didn't, but thank you anyway. I said, but you did. And then we argued for about 5 minutes. And I finally convinced him, yes, you changed my life. And then I told him everything that had happened since and told him about FableVision, our company in Boston. And there it is.
There we go.
Who has been to FableVision? I know a bunch of we've got friends in the audience, visitors.
Awesome. We're top floor of the Boston Children's Museum. If you're ever in Boston, just let us know. We'd love to have you. Sometimes people bring students, sometimes people bring staff and friends. Would love to have you. So that's your ticket, admission ticket. There is a security desk because it's a children's museum, so they take security very seriously. So there's a password, and the password is Create Bravely. Just mention Create Bravely at the desk, and they will let you up. And I think, there we go.
There's a little peek at the studio. Inspired by a theater.
Right. So pretty amazing that 6-minute conversation ended up changing the trajectory of Pete's life, and FableVision has been operating for more than 20 years now. Last November, we hit 20 years. Independent, family-owned, family-run, mission-based, and we work with really cool people, including those monsters there. Animators, producers, music composers, designers, animators, I think I said all of those, yeah. And we work with really the best of the best, organizations that are trying to move the world to a better place in some way, whether it's in the classroom, informal learning spaces, community development, environment. It's truly a dream job.
Yeah, so most people get jobs, and you're lucky if you have a dream job. Do what you love what you do. That's what we tell kids when you're planning your future. Make sure that it's a job, not that you're good at, but that you love. It's nice if you could do both at the same time, but I think you can learn as you go. So find your dream job.
And let's see. So I think, not exactly sure what the transition was there.
Yeah.
But so for all the creativity that we do in the studio at FableVision, we also partner with teachers and students all across the country, and actually increasingly the world now. And our mission is creativity, to inspire creativity and make sure you don't stop and you push through. And the other thing that's happened through the years is that we have realized that there are certain educators, creative educators, who really are connecting the dots between our work and the work that you're doing in the classroom. So this is a picture of Shay, amazing. Yep,
Who here has celebrated International Dot Day? Yeah?
Woo! Awesome. So Terry was reading the book with his kids in Iowa. This is back in 2009. One of the kids said, looked at the publishing date and said, oh, September 15th, 2003, is that the birthday of the book? They just decided it was.
And they had a party to celebrate. So they all made dots, and they had dot treats and painted and created frames and created a gallery. Terry posted it on Facebook, and wouldn't you know it, his teacher friend said, hey, can we do that next year? And so they joined, and the next year, a couple of thousand joined, and so on and so forth. Here we are, this is the 10th anniversary of International Dot Day. Last Dot Day, we had reached over 10 million participants in 170 countries. So,
and that is because And it wasn't just the story, right? We are big believers in the power of story. But it turns out that something better than a story, if we got the slides right, is an activated story. And creative educators know how to activate the stories that we tell, whether it's the books or the films. And Terry Shay figured that out. And he activated it, and it turns out, in a connected universe with technology, a lot of people found out about it. And Peter actually came up with this while we were prepping for the talk today. He decided that he's coining the word story activists. Activated people who know how to activate a story, and creative educators really know how to do that.
Yeah, and story, as it turns out, really is still one of the most powerful technologies for sharing inspiration and information. So I know a lot of you are working on digital storytelling projects. Story gives context to knowledge. Without a story, knowledge is a collection of interesting facts. Story glues it all together. So we got some story activists in the audience. So yeah,
that's awesome.
So that's a little peek, dot day around the world.
And it just keeps going and growing. And it just continued growing and growing. As Pete said, 10 million in 170 countries. And this is all free. You can go to the .club.org. Everything is free. Downloads, reproducibles, and posters, the hand guide. And the cool thing is that it is a day that actually has turned into, in some cases, the week theme, sometimes the month theme, and it's really cool when we hear it's the year-long theme, that teachers know that this is not creativity in the art room. This is, although it happens there, it's an overlay to everything that we do in schools. And we are focusing on being creative, but also the courage to create. So creating bravely. How will you be brave enough to make your mark? And it turns out it takes a lot of encouragement. And
so yeah, start small and dream big. Just like Vashti, just start somewhere. And all of you have creative projects, I'm sure, that you they might be in a shoebox, they might be on the desk, you go and visit it once in a while. We're all busy, and one of the messages that Paul and I want to share with you is make sure that you take time for your creativity, take time for your dreams, make space for your dreams, create a dream space in your house or in your school. Make sure that there is a place that inspires you to be creative and to make stuff, make your mark, make a difference.
So we're going to talk, we're coming in for a landing, but we're
yes,
to talk about our favorite book, which I think we have a copy of it here.
We do love books. We love books so much we opened a bookstore in our hometown because we didn't have one. And so I said, well, we'll open one. So 15 years ago, we opened up the Blue Bunny Books. If you come to Boston, we're about 17 minutes south of Boston proper. And so when kids come into the shop, and grown-up kids too, I show them my all-time favorite book. And this is the cover, very cool. And this is how it begins. And there's a very cool double-page spread in here. And apologies to the librarians in the room, but this is the last page. And of course, we show this to kids, and at first they're sort of looking startled. They're like, but there's nothing there. And then we just wait, just keep going. And eventually they're like, cool, awesome. And I'm like, what could you put in this book? And then that is a great conversation to have. They're like, my art, my story, my words, my ideas. Well, it really could be anything. And I always like to say to them, that is an awesome answer, right? It could be anything. Every day when you wake up, you get another book, another page in your book. And you can write it, or you can let someone else write it. We always say that if you write it, it's going to be a much more interesting story. So, blank books, including blank software, that's kind of our litmus test for great software, is software that has blank pages in it.
And I think we're going to move to we're going to wrap up with a short film. 3 minutes.
Hi, it's me, Frankie. I just need some air. It gets stuffy in there. He never lets me out. Well, sometimes. Like last summer, when he took his kids to the carnival. But for the most part, I'm kept in here. Not that I'm complaining. I got his memories to keep me company. I keep saying he, but he was me. It was so long ago now. I really don't think he remembers me. Except rare moments when he pauses long enough to notice the wonders of the world. When he stops for a moment and doesn't try to make it all make sense. Somewhere along the line, he got serious. Really serious. He grew up around me, and I got buried deep. At least I'm still here. I sleep a lot, but I wake up every so often. Like when he first sees fireworks, or the first snowfall, or fireflies in the summer, or in those rare moments when he sees a flash of the possible, of a dream once dreamed coming back to life. That is when I am most alive. The door swings open, and I can taste and smell the sweet, sweet breeze of a dream. Well, I got to go now. We'll be late for the meeting to follow up on the meeting, to rethink the way the meetings are called. People at work like him. He doesn't rock the boat. He just nods at everybody's ideas. Very diplomatic. He'll be there for a very long time. Maybe, just maybe, he'll give a nod to his own dream. Well, got to be going. The bus is coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to go past the credits, but I am, just to stay on track for time here.
Yeah. So again, that's a reminder that the work that we're doing, the books that we are writing are for all ages. There are two kinds of big people. There are adults and grown-up kids. And grown-up kids, I think, are much healthier for kids to be around. You still know how to have fun and to be silly and to play. And school really needs more. It needs more of that desperately. And we were telling friends that we were coming to Q, and they're like, "What's Q?" And so we're explaining that it's a technology conference. And I said, actually, it's not a technology conference. It's an innovation conference. Everybody in this room are innovators in their thinking.
Let's hear it for Q.
Yeah.
The innovators.
So, yes, you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
And, especially in public education, we desperately need to innovate. And that does not mean 1 or 2% change. And whose change is that? Who is measuring this? Something radical has to happen. I know I now have a silver beard, and I'm running out of time. I want to see it before I leave this planet. I want to see schools that match our imaginations, the ones that we know are possible. And some of you are lucky enough to have schools that you're doing it, right? But we need to share that message with other schools. We need to share it with policymakers. Paul and I would love to have a little story time chat with Betsy DeVos.
Right? If that invitation could go out to her, we'd love to meet with her.
So we would love to just spend a little story time with her. We'd love to read her the
have
dot.
a cup of tea.
And ish, we would have tea.
Yes.
And we would tell her that we need to support schools, to support innovation, and to allow teachers to do their thing, and to help connect every child to be properly supported. And if we could divert maybe just half of the military budget to education.
Right.
We would love to see teachers armed with blank books and paintbrushes and technology and the time and the resources to do all the amazing things that you want to do. So we're encouraging you all to keep going, to never stop. We like to say to be gentle rebels, right? So being a gentle rebel is it's to think outside of the box, sort of climb outside of the box just far enough so you don't get fired, right? And
we
then,
need you in the schools. So
and your principal, your administrators are going to get used to seeing you hanging outside of the box. Occasionally jump out of the box, run around the box. And they're going to start getting used to you being an out-of-the-box teacher, right? And eventually others will be allowed to do the same. We know that we're talking to the choir here. You guys do teach outside of the box. What we need to do is use technology to light up the grid. Internationally, especially nationally right now, more than ever, we need creative solutions. We need creativity. We need radical ideas, wild ideas, colorful ideas. And we need to share what is working and spread the good news to communities so that they demand the good stuff. Once they know what it looks like, they'll say, that's what we want. We don't want that. We want this. So here's to the gentle rebels. I know we have lots more. How much
John
more?
is going to go to the next slide because my magic. Oh, we came up with this morning because we decided.
We have a lot to share. Someone had told us originally this was an 8-hour workshop, and but we have lots to share. And what we didn't share today, we were kind of like, oh, we wish we could share this or that. And so I said, why don't we have the Reynolds Brothers Creativity Palooza Cruise, which would be an 8-day journey of creativity, self-reflection.
I think we have people ready to sign up.
Yes. Who would like to come on the cruise with us?
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Awesome.
We may actually have to do this.
If we did it with Q, would it be a Q's?
Oh yes, a Q's. Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So the creativity Q's.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to set sail.
I'm ready too.
We're going to need a big boat.
So, and the invitation, well, the cruise may actually happen because it sounded pretty good as soon as we said it. But we do want to put the invitation out that if you're doing something amazing in your classroom or your school, your district, you are proof points of what is possible. And let us know about that because we have kind of a fun grid out there of people listening, and we would love to help tell your story. So please connect with us, and we are here for you. I've been teaching for 29 years at Boston College. Whenever I teach, I give my students the Reynolds Lifetime Guardian Angel Guarantee. I say, you're not taking a course with me, you've intersected with my life. And I'm not going to give up on you. I'm going to be there whenever you need me. And you may not need me, but I'm going to be there. We give you the Reynolds Lifetime Guardian Angel Guarantee, everybody in this audience. So please feel free to reach out and connect, and whatever we can do to help you, we will.
Yeah. And one of the things we didn't have time for, I wanted to share my newest book called The Word Collector. Some of you know it already.
Yeah.
It's just been out for 3 weeks, and I wanted to share my personal joy in discovering words. And again, in public education, sometimes we dry things up and make things a little bit too boxed, and it's vocabulary acquisition. I discovered that words are cool. And I fell in love with words I didn't even know the meaning of. And I sort of gave myself permission to love words that I didn't know the meaning of. And eventually, I would figure out what they mean. But sometimes there's certain words that just sound cool to say, right? Vociferous, effervescent. They're just cool. And so I dipped that idea into some art and some words, and the Word Collector was born. And I would love it if you could find a copy and share it with your kids in your life. And also, hopefully it'll inspire you to write your story, because we know that everybody in this room has a story. And the best stories, in the core of a great story, is wisdom. And it is hard fought for wisdom. You've learned a lot along the way. Sometimes it's accidental. You just say the right thing. Maybe you say the word push through, and you're like,
right.
That's got a ring to it, right? And if you find something that works, if you embed it into a story makes the mission transportable. So take your wisdom, dip it in story, and share it with the world, because the world needs your voice. More than ever, we need your voice. All of these voices together. So Paul and I would love to thank you all, each and every one of you, our old friends, dear friends, and all of our new friends. Let's keep connecting the dots. We're with you on the mission. If you need to hang out with us, open up one of our books. We will be there. And we're wishing you all an amazing, creative, effervescent, vociferous journey. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And happy birthday.
And happy
birthday, Q.
Happy birthday, Q.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.